Welcome to the third module of the training to support the assessment of Component 3 of GCEPE, the Practical Performance. This module is designed to explain the marks awarded for the 4 examples you have reviewed. There is a chance to download the commentaries. The training will consider the 4 sports in turn as indicated on the agenda and at the end of the presentation. Throughout this module, remember to note down any questions that arise so that you can raise these in the live Q&A event for Module 4. The evidence includes a series of conditioned practices together with a match, as required by the specification. The practices involve a sequence of shots designed to enable the candidate to show a range of shots under different levels of pressure. The candidate executes a range of shots to a high standard and demonstrates the kind of skill level necessary to be considered for the highest mark band. Some of the practices require a level of timing that many players would find difficult to master, and performances here elevates the candidate to mark band 5. For forehand returns, the practices focus on forehand returns, court movement, and the appropriate response to the feed. For example, a short shot to the front of the court should be returned as a drop shot or lift. The performer should move to the center line after each shot so the whole movement is repeated on the next shot. The candidate demonstrates very good footwork to allow for excellent court coverage. His racket work is fluent and the shot selection appropriate to the feed. Decision making is very good, although there are a few errors and shots are played mostly with height, length, and power. For the backhand returns, it focuses on the backhand returns, court movement, and the appropriate response to the feed. For example, shots fed deep to the back of the court require good body rotation and should be played above the head to provide for power potential with a straight arm. The performer should move to the center line after each shot so the whole movement is repeated on the next shot. The candidate demonstrates agility and balance in the footwork to allow for very good court coverage. For the most part, racket work and court movement and shots are played with height, depth and power, although some drop shots have too much net height and drives lack a little power. For the cross drops, in this drill, the candidate plays cross-court drop shots with a recovery back to the tee. This shot can be used in game situations to draw opponents into one area with the intention of playing the shuttle to a different area of the court. The candidate plays a sequence of cross drops, mainly with accuracy and good height over the net. The candidate opens up the face of the racket to execute the shot and moves efficiently throughout. The shots are played with disguise with very few errors. Drops and kills. The aim is to practice drop shots and net kills at the front of the court and recovery, i.e. getting back to the tee, to prepare for the next shot. The candidate should seek to return the shots with a drop shot, looking to execute a cross-court drop for disguise and variation, but look to kill the shuttlecock when the opportunity arises. The candidate moves well throughout the action, achieving court position efficiently. Decision making is sound, although execution lacks consistency, on occasions with smashes snatched and hit into the net and drop shots sometimes played with too much height. There are several well-played cross drops. Dummy push and dummy drop. The practice requires a candidate to use deceptive shots. The dummy drop is performed by making an exaggerated flicking motion as the performer moves to the shot, then performing a drop or tumble shot. The dummy push shot is performed by holding a drop shot racket position while moving towards the drop shot, then making a stabbing flick to drive or flick the shuttlecock to the back of the court. This is a demanding technique requiring a very high level of skill to perform it well. Success requires a candidate to recognize the flight of the shuttle early enough to play the shot, excellent timing, and deftness in its execution. The candidate has a high level of success, albeit with a few errors. In the singles match, it is an evenly contested match. The candidate performs skills and techniques to an outstanding level. There are a number of occasions when the candidate manipulates the shuttle well in rallies, varying power, placement and angle to outmaneuver his opponent. On a number of occasions, improvisation and disguise were used effectively to win points, and tactical awareness was shown in applying movement pressure on his opponent, opening up the court to hit winners. On several occasions, his opponent was forced to move in different directions in the same rally. The candidate's court movement was efficient throughout the match, with impressive dynamic balance and recovery to the tee position. However, there were times when shots to the forehand of the opponent lacked depth, which allowed his opponent to win points with smashes from mid-court, and on other occasions points were gifted when misjudging the flight of the shuttle, allowing them to drop into the court for free points. Overall, it was felt that the candidate, though performing at a very high level, he was not quite at the level necessary to be awarded a mark in the top half of the band. More marks would have been awarded had the candidate, number 1, shown a little more consistency with the quality of the execution of some shots demonstrated in the practices, for example, a number of drop shots being played too high and far to the net. Number 2, being able to play more shots, lifts and clears with greater depth in the match. For example, he conceded several points by playing shots which lacked height and depth to the forehand of his left-handed opponent, allowing a smash kill to finish the rally. Mark awarded 34. The video shows a coach leading a kayak session with 4 young paddlers. 0 to 7 minutes. The coach provides a clear introduction to the session, identifying the aims and level of ability of the paddlers she is working with. There is helpful review of the previous session using video material, and the coach identifies several areas for improvement in the warm-up. She encourages the group to identify key safety points for when they go out onto the water. Previous work on the ergo machines is considered in this introductory phase of the session, with the coach stopping the video to praise good points and to identify areas for improvement. There is lots of praise at this point, and the coach sets a positive tone. Several technical issues are identified on the video, such as improving posture in the boat and increasing the amount of rotation when paddling. This is a positive start to the session and provides evidence of the planning and intended structure. The coach has a clear voice and uses technical language to illustrate areas for improvement, as well as to praise and encourage. Indeed, the strong voice was heard on numerous occasions during the coaching, which made her feedback and guidance audible even when the paddlers were away from her. 7 to 12 minutes. The coach provides a clear demonstration of the warm-up exercises and points out several important aspects of the exercises for the paddlers to focus on. The coach positions herself carefully to enable the paddlers to see key technical points, and they work through the exercise as well. There are 1 or 2 missed opportunities at various times for the coach to encourage further refinement in some of the exercises, notably the lunges. 12 to 23 minutes. The session progressed to work on the ergo machines, and the coach checks the distances to ensure points raised during the introduction are addressed, which is good practice. The paddlers are reminded of technical points, and then the coach works with the group on a one-to-one basis, providing clear advice to improve technique on the ergo. Points are made about head and leg position, and the importance of body rotation is emphasized. The coach is positive and encouraging, with praise used well. The paddlers work well, apply advice for improvement to their performances, and there seems to be improvement in the quality of work undertaken. In this phase of the session, the coach could have engaged those not working with some reciprocal learning. Those not on the ergo might have had the chance to observe and comment, and so have key technical points reinforced before they went onto the water. 23 to 30 minutes. This time was spent on the water, with the coach giving clear instructions as to how this was to be undertaken. Reminders were given about several technical points, and there was a drill introduced to enhance the quality of the paddling when individuals had to tap their boats. The level of demand was modified for one paddler who initially struggled with the increased level of demand. Again, good practice. Praise was used well on a number of occasions to reinforce improvements in performance. 30 to 40 minutes. The session continues with a focus on starts, with the coach emphasising the importance of the 3 initial powerful strokes and reminding them of the factors which might affect the technique, such as the direction of the wind and the paddle position. The coach introduces several progressions in the part of the session, including start from when the boat is moving backwards and then a timed start. Again, the praise and encouragement from the coach is noticeable, as are the occasions when she reinforces important coaching points. 40 plus minutes. The evidence concludes with the coach offering an evaluation of the session in which she identifies 1 or 2 points to improve next time. A little more detail as to what next session might have developed would have added another layer of quality here. This was also a missed opportunity to involve the paddlers. A short Q&A involving the whole group would have demonstrated evidence of key learning. Overall, there is evidence that the coach has planned the session, which is very well structured. The aims of the session are clearly articulated and are there to demonstrate the improvements in the performances of all 4 paddlers. Use of appropriate technology during the analysis and review was a strength of the coaching. The coach demonstrated very good sport-specific knowledge, as well as the ability to effectively manage the coaching environment. The group being coached worked well throughout. Going forward, it was evident that with support, the coach could develop into an excellent coach and be an asset to any kayak club. More marks could have been awarded had the candidate, number 1, ensured the opportunities to reinforce key technical points in the warm-up, on the lunge for example, were taken to reinforce points made in the introduction. Involve the group in active observation to learn opportunities. And the last point, extended further the evaluation, including the involvement of the group in evaluating the session. Overall mark, 38 out of 40. The candidate wears the yellow bib, number 3, and the number 10 in the match. The video shows the candidate in a series of condition practices, followed by first half action of a competitive match. The material provides good balance of evidence with a helpful introduction to identify the candidate and sufficient action to make a judgment on the playing ability. The first practice shows players dribbling the ball into a square, releasing it to a static target and then following the ball to receive the ball again, turning to dribble into the box again and release. The player shows good control of the ball overall, with most first touches out of his feet to enable the drill to progress. However, the body position should have been more open on several occasions and few passes are made with the left foot. In a straightforward practice with little pressure, the quality of work is good. In the 2v2 drill, the player exhibits positive movement to receive a return pass and in one instance produces an accurate shot across the keeper with his weaker foot to score. On the second play, an alternative movement is shown, again with a neat finish. Defenders are semi-passive and the overall quality of the work is good. In the 3v1 drill, the candidate makes a series of assured, well-weighted passes using his strong foot. On the majority of occasions when the ball is controlled, the first touch is good, with the ball out of his feet to play on the second touch. Movement to create a better angle is a little sluggish at times, especially when requiring movement from left to right, which should have been quicker and wider. There are few passes with the left foot, and the one occasion when the ball is controlled with the weak foot, the touch is poor. In the practice to show elements of control, the candidate shows good control overall, with most first touches out of his feet to play the return pass. Control is good on most surfaces, perhaps less confident when having to play a cushioned header. In the shooting drill, the candidate favours his stronger side with movements on all but one occasion designed to be able to strike on goal with his right foot. When shooting with the right foot, he hits the target to score several times, in one instance with some disguise. The one shot on the left foot towards the end of the time is mistimed and lacks accuracy and power. In the match, the candidate is directly involved on 21 occasions. There are other times the candidate looks to exploit space behind the last defender, but the final pass fails to reach him, for example, at 2 minutes 40. There are a number of occasions when the candidate has a positive impact on the game. Early on, at 2 minutes 27, the player lays the ball off the outside of his right to allow play to continue. There is a neat improvised pass at 10:16, and on 13:30, good strength in contact situation allows his team to gain possession of the ball. There are several positive runs to exploit space. The candidate appears to be quick and understands the potential advantage of operating close to the shoulder of the last defender. One run ends with well-directed shot that lacks power at 21:48, and 3 minutes later he finishes well from close range. On a third occasion, at 40:05, the run is behind, leads to an attacking corner, and again at 40:55 he gets into a scoring position only to miss the target. Closer to the goal, the candidate shifts the ball neatly right to left, but the shot is blocked at 10:31. However, there are a number of occasions when the candidate is responsible for losing possession. These include at 9:17, 10:02, 13, 13:17, 13:20, and 27:41. In several instances, that is poor decision making, and on others is a result of overplaying. At one time, at 31:49, the candidate occupies a neat post position for a corner with space to exploit when additional movement might have created a greater attacking threat. There are a few occasions when the candidate demonstrates effective communication and his pace enables him to get into scoring positions 5 times in the time of the first half, one of which he scores from. The candidate has a positive influence on the game, although there is a sense that he has more to offer in directing play and teammates when his team is not in possession. Overall, the candidate demonstrates a good level of performance. More marks would have been awarded had the candidate been more 1. Assured with control and distribution on his left foot during condition practices, 2. Proactive in the 3v1 practice to create better passing angles, and 3. Influential when his team does not have the ball in the match. Marks awarded 22 out of 40. The video shows the candidate in a series of skills practices followed by first half of a competitive match. The drills show the player demonstrating several skills including the use of the reverse stick in shooting on goal and receiving a pass with her back to the goal, manoeuvring the ball for a shot on goal. In contrast to the previous performances, the evidence suggests a performer at a competent level of performance. Skills, techniques, and decision-making are characterized by some elements of precision, control, and fluency, the necessary standard for a mark at the top of mark band 2. For the block tackle, the candidate makes 2 tackles as her opponent dribbles towards her, although with minimal attempt to outwit the defender. Although the tackles are made with reasonable transition to having 2 hands on the stick, a lower, more assertive body and stick position would have improved the quality of the skill. Shooting on the reverse stick. The candidate receives 4 passes which she controls, shifts onto the reverse stick side to shoot on goal. The control phase of the skill is a little clumsy as extra touches are needed to get the ball out of her feet in transition, and there are 2 air shots as the candidate fails to get into a low enough body and stick position. Continuous slaps and hits on goal. The candidate receives a sequence of passes which she controls and then shoots on goal, either with a slap or a hit. There are occasions when extra touches are needed to get the ball out of her feet, and although shots mostly hit the target, a failure to make adjustments to her feet position means that several attempts on goal are made from an unbalanced position. Quick passes followed by a shot on goal under pressure. The candidate makes several short passes before executing a turn, short dribble, and then shoots for goal with a little pressure on the attempt on goal. The work is again of a competent level, lacking the slick timing and refinement that would be expected of a good player performing in Band 3. Rollouts to the top of the D. This action shows the candidate dribble the ball to the sideline and play a pass forward to an unseen target. Although the defender does not really apply serious pressure on the ball, the candidate manipulates the ball reasonably well in the dribble phase, and the first sequence executes a little trick to create space for the pass. One would expect a better player, someone in the good band, to glimpse the intended target before passing the ball to an advanced position. Now for the match, wearing number 22. Throughout the match, the candidate seeks to influence play with several runs to advanced positions and working back to get goal side of her direct opponent. Positional play is good for the most part, and she is involved in several phases of play. There is some influence on the match without ever dominating the action, although she gets forward well to score late in the half. Amongst her involvements in play is forward run in the opening sequence of play, although the pass is not made. The candidate fails to control the ball in the opening minute, and a little later in the game makes an interception and passes the ball forward accurately. After 4.5 minutes, the candidate makes an interception and passes the ball down the line, although 30 seconds later fails to control the ball on the reverse stick side. The opening few minutes reinforce the view that the candidate is a competent player by lacking the skill level to influence play very often. Approaching the 6th minute, however, the candidate makes a short dribble and passes the ball laterally to the intended target. The candidate rarely features in the next 20 minutes, but in the 27th minute, she makes a tackle and then moves away to create width, and then receives the pass, controls, and makes a return pass. In the final few minutes, she's involved in a scramble in the D, and in the 36th minute, gets into an advanced position to score. Overall, the candidate demonstrates position-specific skills to a competent level with skills and techniques of a reasonable standard, although with errors. More marks would have been awarded had the candidate, number 1, demonstrated higher standard of performance when executing core skills, 2, be more consistent in the practices with fewer errors when skills were under a little pressure, and then 3, be more influential in the game. Marks awarded 16 out of 40. In considering the marking across the 4 candidates, it is hoped that delegates recognise the varying standards of performances. The badminton player who was assessed in Band 5 participated in several demanding practices and, notwithstanding some errors, achieved a high standard of performance. He dominated the match situation, applying movement pressure on his opponent. The footballer produced some good work in the practices, but failed to significantly influence the game, especially when not in possession of the ball. The practices for the hockey player were not especially demanding, and she rarely contributed to the team's performance. The high-scoring coach showed excellent planning and organisational skills and worked through a sequence of progressions to impact the performances of her group. You have now completed the 3rd module in the 4-module training program. The final module will be a live question and answer session and includes a look at one further piece of new candidate work delivered by an expert trainer. They will also be able to respond to any questions that you might have following completion of these modules. The final module provides you with the chance of a live question and answer session with a senior moderator who will work through another practical performance, in this case, another hockey player. Please use the link to raise questions in advance of the final module. Thank you for attending. It is hoped you have found the session useful.